What do you practice on when you pick up the guitar? Let me know in the comments section. I'd really like to hear your thoughts. For me, the most fun and useful way to practice is to connect the root notes. And what do I mean by that? In this video, I will show you a musical way to get from root note to the next root note. So grab your guitar and let's have some fun with these lead guitar practice techniques. I'm going to give you a super slow, detailed breakdown of this. This concept will work over any chord, but let's take a full G chord, bar chord, and we're going to focus on the center of that. A great way to practice is to start with this root note and end on the next closest root note, but do it in a musical way. So playing this small piece of the chord here, the G chord, yes, that's a piece of the G major pentatonic, but also let's just look at it from the root note. You can, to get that major sound on anywhere in the fretboard, this root note can go up 2 frets and slide up 2 more. Four frets is the major third of the G chord, the B note. In this case, it's in the 9th fret of the D string, but also that B note is in the 4th fret of the G string. So I'm creating movement to the root note in the 5th fret here, but I'll go 5 to 7 on the A string, sliding up, hitting the root note here in the 5th fret. Then go 2 frets, 2 more, 4 full frets up from the root note is the major third. Ending up on the 9th fret, this B note. And there's the next root note. 7, 9 on the D, 7, 9 on the G, and then you have a root note here in the 8th fret of the B string. And you can always use that little blue note, that chromatic note. So here's the G, 5th fret. So 8, 7, pull down, and then back to the root note. You can do it chromatically from 8 to 9 on the D string, 7, 9, right to that root note on the 8th fret of the B string. So for me, I'm looking at this root note here and then go into this, there's another root note right here, so I'm going to play a phrase to create movement to that next root note. This time I'm going to create a minor phrase. Check this out. That was all minor pentatonic, but it sounds great over a blues rock groove in the key of G. Now for the minor sound from the root note, it's 3 frets up and then 2 frets up. Eight, 11, 13, full bend, 13, 11, and the root note is on the 12th fret of the G string. It's the octave of the open. So the first part of this phrase would be, so 8 on the B string, sliding up to 10 on the E string, 9, 8, 11, 8 on the B string, and then 10 on the G string. Again. Then after that phrase, we will take 11, 8, 10, 7 on the G string, 10, 8 on the D string, and then right back to the root note. It's a low root note here, in the 10th fret. All together. And you can add this little chromatic note in here too. Hit 10, hit the blue note here in the 11th fret and pull back down. The next part of that minor phrase would be sliding up to 10 on the A string, hitting 8, 10 on the D string, and sliding up to 12, and then on the G string, be 10 to 12. 11, 13 on the B string, then I did a full bend there on the 13. And then you can hit 13 on the E string too, that little, and back to 11, and then that root note's right there, slow. Stay with me, I'm going to show you how this works over the chord changes. We can go back and look at this root note here in the 8th fret and go up to 13 to 10. So 8, sliding up to 13 on the E string. Again, then do a little Eric Clapton sounding lick. So hit 10, 13, and then hit 13 on the B string. And you get the idea. We're looking at a root note here where we ended up, but there's another root note here on the 15th fret. Root note there in the 5th fret. So a common chord change in a key of G is a C and D, 1, 4, 5. C, D. And then we're going back to G. You can do a minor pentatonic, minor to major. It's the same concept. You don't want to, I don't like to change the scale. I like to have one main scale. And in this case, I was using the G major pentatonic, but just looking at these little slide moves. But I always want to slip in a little bit of that minor pentatonic. But you still want to listen for those chord changes. So we got G. What we did in the beginning, coming up to a C. I'll show you this first part. Right underneath there's that root note. So we're going to slide from 5 to 7 on the A string. And then hit the C note here in the 5th fret of the G string. Then we're going to walk up. A full chord of C is right here. And if we just use 2 notes of that, 10 on the A string, 9 on the G string. But we can walk up chromatically. Still looking at this full chord or thinking about it. And then that root note is right there, 10th fret of the D string. The same move we did on G, and there's the root note of the C. We don't always have to land on the root note, but if you're just starting to do this, it's a great way to practice. And then we're leading up to the D chord. So we're just using a little piece of the C chord and walking up chromatically to the D. So 9 on the G, 8 on the B string for the C chord, and then walk up chromatically. Up to 11 and 10. A little piece of the D chord. You can do it with one hit and just sliding up. And then all the way up here on the 15th fret is a D note, your root note for the D. So 16 on the G string, and then 15 on the B string. Full bend on 17, and then 15, 17 on the E string, and then a bend release. We're on the D chord there, and it's going back to G now. I'd like to run down the G minor pentatonic scale, but starting from the root note in the 3rd fret, ending on the root note here in the 5th fret. 3, 6, 3 on the B, 6 to 5 pull down, then 3, 5. All these ideas linked together. I just showed you some ideas of how to start practicing them, but you will improvise with these with confidence if you keep working on it. Thanks so much for checking out my lesson today. Hopefully we'll see you soon.